Well, good day everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And if you might recall, last week I did a video about using postcards and typewriters when you're out traveling on vacation or holiday out on the road. And one of the things I recommended is you might want to use adhesive labels to type on instead of trying to roll the postcard directly into your typewriter. Well, I'm going to do a follow-up video today. We're going to talk about exactly what kind of labels you might need for 4x6-inch postcards. Stay tuned. Okay, let's get something out of the way first of all. I'm not suggesting that typewriters should be a replacement for simply handwriting with a pen. I mean, a pen and a postcard is a very pragmatic, practical way to create postcard letters back to your family, loved ones, and friends. But if you happen to already be taking an ultra-portable typewriter with you on vacation, then this also presents an opportunity to do a postcard another way besides just a pen. Okay, so what are the advantages of using a pen? Well, obviously, of course, it's the portability, the lightweight. You can put it in your pocket. You can write somewhere in public and it's not going to bother anybody with the noise of a typewriter, for instance. However, some of the newer postcards, the way they're commercially printed, the paper is not always ideally suited to certain types of pens. You'll find, for instance, if you go to an antique or thrift store, you'll find a lot of old postcards, and a lot of them might have been written on fountain pen, which is wonderful. I love fountain pens, but a lot of the new kinds of cardstocks are just a little too glossy for fountain pen. Fountain pen might run a little bit or might smear, and even some of the cheap ballpoint pens may not work ideally. If you happen to have a ultra-portable typewriter with you anyways, this presents an opportunity to probably get a little bit more words onto your postcard than what maybe your handwriting can permit, and also it's going to be more legible most likely. Now here's an example of a postcard, and you might notice how the letters, the text is a little bit smeared, and that's because the glossy nature of this paper, typewriter ink, even if you can roll it through your machine successfully, it will often smear. The ink will smear on this kind of glossy cardstock postcards. Hence the reason why I recommend we use adhesive labels, that you can roll a sheet of labels through your ultra-portable typewriter very easily. It's a normal kind of paper surface that takes typewriter ink quite well, and then you can peel it off and stick it to your postcard. So standard postcards in the US are often 4x6 inches, although there are other sizes. So considering the writing area on your postcard is typically somewhere around 3 inches wide by about almost 4 inches tall, I was looking around for some kind of adhesive labels that might be compatible with this size, and I ordered this online. I couldn't find these in my local office supply store. This is the Avery 6874 labels, and I have not opened this pack, so this is going to be interesting. They are 2 by 2 by 2. They're oriented with the wide side going sideways to the paper. So in 8.5 by 11 inch sheet, you're going to thread it into your ultra-portable typewriter, and if you type on these labels just that way, you'll be typing your lines of text along the long axis of the paper, which means when you paste it onto your postcard, the text is actually going to be running crosswise to the postcard. Now, that is good, or it could be bad. Depends on what you like. Now, I've seen a lot of old postcards in antique stores where people hand wrote a note and they did write crosswise to the postcard because that makes the lines a little bit longer and less interruptions of the words and whatnot. So that's fine if you want to do that. However, if you want to have the text running the normal orientation to a postcard this way, you're going to have to type on these labels this way. And of course, an ultra-portable machine, you won't be able to thread this sheet into it sideways like this. So what I would recommend, if you're wanting to type along the narrow axis of these labels, is to go ahead and before you leave home on your vacation, your holiday trip, is to cut these into thirds. cut the sheet into thirds so you have a column of 2 labels per strip, and each one of those strips of 2 labels easily threads into the typewriter, permitting you to write crosswise along the narrow axis of the label, which when you paste it onto the postcard, the text is going to be running the normal orientation. Okay, well, you could probably do this more neatly with a paper trimmer, but I'm going to just cut it like this. There is about a 1/2 inch space between the rows of labels. So you would simply cut your sheet of labels into thirds like this, right? Into 3 strips of 2 each. Now, when you go on your holiday vacation trip, you probably want to decide ahead of time who you're going to be sending postcards to. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how many sheets or how many individual labels to bring along with you. So 1 sheet obviously gives you 6 labels, enough for 6 postcards. So maybe that's enough. It depends on how big of a circle of friends and family you have. So this is my 1953 era Hermes rocket. Okay, now I'm going to set my margin along very closely to the edge. I want to straighten out the paper, the strip, so it's going to be a little bit straighter. I'm living in Albuquerque right now, and I have a Tucson postcard that I'm going to mail off to somebody. Let's see, what is the date? The 18th, okay. And one of the things you can do is if you make a typographical error on these paper labels, you can actually go back and correct it, which is kind of cool because these paper labels give you that ability to do that. Okay, let's roll this out. So there's 1 label, and I got it nicely formatted there. Okay, so I'm going to peel this off and carefully affix it to the postcard. And the whole thing is just getting it centered properly and get it straight. Hey, that's pretty cool. The remaining label, of course, you save, and this will still roll through the typewriter just fine, and you have another one ready to use. Well, now you've typed your message on your Avery 6874 label, and you've affixed it to the postcard. Now you're going to have to address the postcard, and of course you could use your inexpensive ballpoint pen and scribble an address on it, but an alternative would actually be to go ahead and use a label for the addressing itself. And I would recommend getting these are probably the most common type of Avery labels available at office supply stores, the 5260, which are simple address labels, right? So here is one that's almost all used up, but just to pull out a fresh one here. Of course, it comes in 3 rows of labels. There's probably roughly 30 labels per sheet, the standard little address labels. So I'd recommend when you leave home, you don't have to take the entire pack of 5260 labels, just like you don't have to take the entire pack of 6874s. Just take a sheet or 2, however many you think you're going to need for however many postcards. As far as the address labels, maybe just cut it in thirds to cut off one of these rows. And these are actually, I believe these are perforated, so you can actually pull them kind of like that, right? So just tear off 1 row of labels, and you could actually pre-address these before you leave home. Instead of having to remember to enter the recipient's postal address in your phone, or remembering to bring a little address book or a little note of all the addresses, if you go ahead and pre-address all of your potential recipients before you leave for your trip or vacation or holiday, then it does 2 things. So you already have the label typed out, but secondly, it's a reminder that, oh, these are the people I need to get postcards for, right? So it's kind of a motivation. You're 2/3 of the way done with your trip. You only have a couple days left. And you look at it and say, oh gosh, I have 3 people left that I haven't done postcards for. It's an instant reminder. So then you go to the nearest gift shop and go find them a nice postcard. But you could also, of course, on the spur of the moment, you could simply go ahead and decide, oh, I forgot about cousin Billy. So then you would sit here and just simply type out their address right on the little label here and stick it to the postcard, the address side of the postcard. Then you have a nice printed, mechanically printed, typewritten postcard to stick in the mailbox wherever you're at. And of course, remember to bring some stamps, right, when you go on your trip. Okay, so here I've typed out address. Just going to peel off that and plaster it onto the right side of the postcard where the address goes. Boom. Just like that. Now I'm going to get my postage stamp. And of course, remember, in the United States, postcard postage rates are cheaper than first class mail, but I happen to have some forever stamps. Well, here's hopefully a practical method for you guys to use your ultra portable typewriter when you're out on vacation. As I said earlier, you don't necessarily intend to bring your typewriter just for the purpose of postcards, but if you're bringing the typewriter anyway because you're going to be writing with it, why not bring a sheet of Avery 6874 labels, cut them into thirds if you like to type along the narrow axis to give you the words that go normal wise to the card, or you can roll the whole sheet in and type along the long axis so the words are going this way on your postcard. And also, don't forget to bring some 5260 Avery labels with addresses already typed on them if you want to do that, so that you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't remember their address. You'll have it ahead of time. It makes a little handy little list of these are the people I need to get postcards for when I'm on my trip. Well, I hope this gave you guys some inspiration and ideas for taking your ultra portable typewriter with you on your next holiday trip or vacation and being able to do postcards. Well, if you have any concerns, questions, or comments, leave them down there below. And until next time, stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.